The station hung in space like a crystal flower, its petals made of metal and light. Daesung pressed his face against the window of the transport shuttle, watching it grow larger. Behind him, young Mi shuffled through her translation files for the 100th time. "Stop worrying," Daesung said without turning around. "Your translations are perfect." "These are the ancients," young Mi replied. 12 million years old. What if I missed something? The shuttle docked with a soft thump. The doors opened to reveal a corridor that seemed to stretch into infinity. The walls shifted colors as they walked, responding to their presence. At the end stood their guide, a being that looked like walking crystal, its body refracting light into rainbows. "Welcome, humans," the ancient said. Its voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "I am Vel. Follow me to the council chamber." The chamber was massive. Representatives from hundreds of species filled floating platforms that circled a central stage. Daesung recognized some from his briefings. The insect-like Vraxi, the aquatic Nalvori and their water spheres, species he had no names for. But the ancients sat at the highest level, 7 crystalline figures that glowed with inner light. "Ambassador Daesung of Earth," the lead ancient spoke. "You honor us with your presence. Humanity is young, but we welcome you to Galactic Society." Daesung bowed. "We are honored to learn from civilizations far older than ours." The ceremony continued with speeches and formal greetings. Daesung half listened, his mind wandering. Then came the part about trade routes and territory. A massive hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, showing the galaxy in 3 dimensions. Stars glowed in different colors, marking different territorial claims. That was when Daesung noticed it. A dark sphere in the map, no stars marked inside it, no trade routes passing through it. A bubble of nothing, and Earth sat right in its center. "Excuse me," Daesung interrupted. "What is that unmarked region?" The chamber fell silent. The hologram froze. Daesung felt every eye turned toward him. "That region is not relevant to today's discussions," the lead ancient said. "It's centered on Earth's solar system," young Mi added, stepping forward. "Why is there a 50 light-year gap around our home?" The ancient representatives looked at each other. One of them gestured and the hologram disappeared. "That region is under permanent quarantine. It has been restricted for 47,000 of your years." "Quarantine?" Daesung's voice rose. "Are we sick? Is there radiation? What danger does Earth pose?" "The quarantine is not because of danger from Earth," Vel said carefully. "It is for protection." "Protection of whom?" young Mi demanded. "Us or you?" No answer came. The meeting ended abruptly. The ancients departed, their crystalline forms dissolving into light. The other species filed out quickly, avoiding eye contact with the human delegation. Daesung and young Mi stood alone in the massive chamber. "That went well," young Mi said sarcastically. They returned to their assigned quarters, a suite of rooms that adjusted to human needs. The furniture was soft. The air was Earth normal, but Daesung felt nothing but frustration as he paced back and forth. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Young Mi opened it to find a small Vraxi standing outside, the insect being looked around nervously before scuttling inside. "I should not be here," the Vraxi said. Its voice clicked and buzzed. "My name is Vic. I work in the historical archives. What do you want?" Daesung asked. "To warn you," Vic said. "The ancients do not fear you humans. They fear what else lives on your world. The things you cannot see." "What things?" Young Mi leaned forward. "What are you talking about?" "I have said too much already." Vic turned toward the door. "But if you want answers, request access to survey file Delta 477. Tell them it is your right as a member species to know your own planet's history." The Vraxi left as quickly as it had arrived. Daesung looked at young Mi. "What do you think?" "I think we demand some answers," she replied. The next morning, Daesung filed an official request through diplomatic channels. The response took 6 hours. Access granted but supervised. That afternoon, Vel led them deep into the station's lower levels to a chamber filled with data crystals that glowed with stored information. "You may view the file," Vel said, "but you may not copy it." "And I must remain present." Young Mi activated the crystal. Images filled the air above it. An ancient ship, its design elegant and strange. A crew of beings that looked like younger versions of the ancients. And Earth, green and blue, as it looked 47,000 years ago. "This was the 4th survey mission to your system," Vel explained. The previous 3 never returned. The recording showed the ship entering Earth's orbit. The crew seemed excited, taking readings and samples. Then something changed. The mood shifted. Crew members began acting strangely, talking to empty air, arguing with each other. They detected energy readings. Young Mi translated the ancient text, scrolling past. Not from humans. From something else. Something that existed alongside your species. The recording showed a landing. The ancient survey team set up equipment near what looked like the Korean peninsula. Primitive humans were visible in the distance, living in small groups. But the instruments showed something else. Heat signatures that moved but had no bodies. Energy patterns that seemed almost alive. Then the incident happened. A crew member suddenly attacked her colleagues, screaming words that the translation rendered as, "They are inside me. They are wearing me like clothing." The evacuation was chaotic. The team fled back to their ship, but the affliction spread. More crew members began seeing things, hearing voices, acting against their own will. The ship left orbit, but several crew members died before they could reach the nearest station. The final log entry appeared. Commander Talvis, his crystalline form flickering with distress, spoke directly to the camera. Earth is occupied, not by its visible inhabitants, but by an unknown intelligence that exists beyond our ability to perceive. They attempted contact with us, but our biology cannot handle it. Recommend total exclusion from galactic community. Let the humans develop alone. Do not send more ships. The recording ended. The chamber fell silent except for the hum of the data crystals. So you quarantined us, Dae-sung said slowly. Because there are ghosts on Earth? We do not know what they are, Vel replied. Only that they exist, that they are dangerous to non-human biology, and that they destroyed every expedition we sent. How many expeditions? Young Mi asked. In total? Across all species over the millennia? Vel's crystalline form dimmed. 23 ships. 17 species. None survived contact. Dae-sung felt cold. But humans live there? We have always lived there? Yes, Vel said quietly. That is what terrifies us most. You live among them and do not die. You coexist with entities that kill everything else. What does that make you? That night, Dae-sung could not sleep. He reviewed the files again and again. Young Mi worked beside him, translating every fragment she could find. And slowly a picture emerged. Ancient humans had not been primitive. They had developed alongside these entities, learning to sense them, to live with them, even to communicate with them. Every ghost story, every spiritual tradition, every tale of ancestors watching from beyond, all of it was real. Young Mi found one final detail that made Dae-sung's blood run cold. She pulled up a thermal image from the original survey, showing Earth from orbit. Billions of human heat signatures glowed red and orange across the planet. But among them, scattered everywhere, were other signatures. Cold blue marks that moved independently, that clustered around human settlements that seemed to watch. Millions of them, maybe billions. Living alongside humanity, invisible to human eyes but present nonetheless. What are we? Young Mi whispered. Dae-sung had no answer. He only knew that Earth's isolation was about to end, and the galaxy was not prepared for the truth. Dae-sung stood before the council chamber again, but this time he was not polite. He slammed his hand on the podium hard enough to make several alien representatives jump. You quarantined my entire species without ever telling us why, he said, his voice echoing through the massive space. We deserve to know everything. Every file, every record, every piece of data about Earth and whatever you think lives there. The lead ancient sat motionless on its elevated platform. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then it spoke. Very well. We will grant you access to the deep archives. But you must understand, Ambassador, some knowledge carries a price. 2 days later, Dae-sung returned to the station's lower levels. This time he brought reinforcements. Ha-jun, a military intelligence officer from Earth's Defense Force, walked beside him. The man had a soldier's bearing and suspicious eyes that missed nothing. Behind them came Jiwoo, a xenobiologist who had studied alien life forms for 15 years. I still do not understand why you need me, Jiwoo said as they descended deeper into the station. I study living organisms. You are chasing ghost stories, maybe, Dae-sung replied. Or maybe we will find out these ghosts are more real than we thought. Vel met them at the archive entrance. The crystalline being looked dimmer than before, as if showing emotion through its light. The Council has authorized full access to all Earth-related survey data, Vel said. But I must warn you, what you find may change how you see your own species. The archive was vast. Data crystals stretched in rows as far as they could see, each one containing centuries of information. Vel led them to a section marked with symbols young Mi translated as Forbidden Worlds. There are 12 planets in this category, Vel explained. Worlds that galactic civilization has chosen to avoid completely. Earth is the only one with a living native species. Jiwoo activated the first crystal. Immediately, the air filled with images and data streams. The ancient survey mission appeared again, but this time they could see more details. Commander Talves had been thorough. The logs showed weeks of observation from orbit before the landing. The ancient crew had studied human settlements, watched hunting parties, observed primitive agriculture. They noted that humans seemed unusually aware of their surroundings, often looking at nothing as if seeing something invisible. Look at this. Ha-Jun pointed to a section of data. These are electromagnetic readings from Earth's surface. There are patterns here. Regular patterns that do not match any known natural phenomenon. Young Mai leaned closer. They thought it was Earth's magnetic field at first. But the patterns move independently. They cluster around human populations. The next crystal showed the landing in more detail. The survey team had set down near what would eventually become Seoul, thousands of years in the future. The date stamp put it in Earth's Stone Age. Humans in the area wore animal skins and carried primitive tools, but they were not stupid. Several humans had stopped what they were doing to stare at the alien ship, showing no fear, only curiosity. They should have run, Jiwoo said. Any animal encountering something that strange would flee. But these humans just watched. The ancient researchers had set up equipment to measure energy readings. That was when things began going wrong. One scientist, a being the logs called Marvin, had started talking about hearing voices. The recordings showed him working normally one moment, then stopping suddenly, his head tilted as if listening to something. I can hear them. Marvin's translated words appeared in the air. They are trying to speak. They want to know what we are. The other crew members thought he was joking. Then more of them began reporting the same thing. Voices that were not voices. Presences that pushed against their minds. The sensation of being watched by millions of invisible eyes. Commander Talves had ordered an immediate evacuation. But during the evacuation, Marvin had attacked a colleague with a tool, screaming that, "They need us to understand, they are trying so hard to communicate, why won't you let them in?" Ha-Jun paused the recording. This was not an attack. This was attempted communication gone wrong. What do you mean? Taesung asked. Look at the behavior. Ha-Jun pointed to Marvin frozen in the image. He is not violent by nature. The psychological profile shows he was peaceful, curious, gentle. Something tried to communicate with him and his biology could not handle the process. It broke him. Jiwoo pulled up biological data from the afflicted crew members. The readings showed massive neural activity, far beyond what their brains normally produced. Synapses firing in patterns that should not exist. And something else, something that made Jiwoo's eyes widen. There is foreign energy integrated into their neural tissue, she said. Not an infection, not a parasite, an attempted symbiosis. Something was trying to merge with their consciousness. Young Mi found another set of logs, these from the ship's medical officer. The afflicted crew members had been studied extensively before they died. The medical officer noted that the energy patterns in their brains matched the electromagnetic signatures detected on Earth's surface. The entities from Earth had tried to join with the ancient explorers, but why did it kill them? Daesung asked. Wrong biology, Jiwoo said, still reading the data. Look here. The ancients process consciousness differently than humans. Their neural structure is crystalline, based on light refraction rather than electrical impulses. The Earth entities tried to communicate the way they communicate with humans, but the ancients' brains literally could not process it. The attempt destroyed their neural tissue. Ha-Jun moved to another crystal. You said there were earlier missions. Let me see those. The earlier missions had less data because none of them returned, but they had sent automated messages before they vanished. The first mission reported strange readings and decided to land for closer study. Their final message was a confused report of crew members becoming confused and violent. Then silence. The second mission never even made it to orbit. They approached Earth's moon and suddenly all communication ceased. A rescue mission found the ship drifting, its crew dead. their faces frozen in expressions of terror and wonder. The third mission tried to study Earth from a distance, using probes instead of landing. The probes worked fine until they entered Earth's atmosphere. Then they began sending back impossible data, images of entities that existed and did not exist, heat signatures that appeared and disappeared, energy readings that suggested intelligence but not life. They are real, Young-Mi said softly. These entities are real and they have been on Earth longer than humans. Not longer, Jiwoo corrected, pulling up geological data. Look at this. The energy patterns match Earth's electromagnetic field evolution. They evolved from the planet itself maybe billions of years ago. They are Earth's native intelligence and humans evolved alongside them. Hajun stood back, his military mind processing the implications. This explains human behavior. Throughout history, we have reported seeing spirits, ghosts, ancestors, gods. Every culture has stories of invisible beings that watch us, help us, sometimes harm us. We thought it was superstition or imagination, but it was real, Daesung finished. We have been living with them our entire existence. We evolved together. Our brains developed in a way that lets us coexist with them. More crystals revealed more attempts to study Earth. 17 different species over thousands of years. Some tried stealth approaches, others tried military force. One species attempted to cleanse Earth of the entities using radiation. Their fleet vanished completely. The logs suggested the entities defended themselves and their planet with ferocity. They protect Earth, Young-Mi said. Every species that came with hostile intent disappeared. But the survey missions that came peacefully just left with damaged crews. The entities distinguish between threat levels. Jiwoo pulled up one final piece of data that made everyone stop. It was a comparative analysis done by an ancient researcher centuries ago. The analysis compared human neural patterns with the electromagnetic signatures of Earth's entities. The overlap was significant. Human consciousness literally operated on a frequency that matched the entity's natural state. We are compatible, Jiwoo whispered. Evolution made us compatible. Or maybe they guided our evolution. Either way, humans can host these entities without damage. We are the bridge between physical and non-physical existence. Daesung sat down heavily. Around him, the data crystals glowed with thousands of years of failed attempts to understand Earth. Every civilization in the galaxy had hit the same wall. They could not comprehend beings that existed beyond their perception. They could not accept that intelligence came in forms other than flesh and metal and energy shields. But humans had accepted it. For thousands of years, humans had lived with the invisible. They had prayed to it, feared it, honored it, and eventually learned to coexist with it. Not because humans were special, but because humans had no choice. The entities were there from the beginning. What do we do with this information? Hajun asked. Daesung looked at his team. Young-Mi, whose translations had opened this mystery. Hajun, whose military mind saw the strategic implications. Jiwoo, whose scientific knowledge revealed the biological truth. And Vel, the ancient guide who stood silently watching, waiting to see what humans would do with knowledge that had destroyed so many others. The transport ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Daesung looked at his home planet on the view screen, that blue and white marble he had left 3 months ago. It looked peaceful, normal, but now he knew what the aliens knew. Earth was anything but normal. Starting atmospheric approach, the pilot announced. In the passenger section, the team prepared their equipment. Besides the original members, 2 new people had joined them. Hyunwoo was a folklorist who had spent his life studying Korean shamanism and ghost stories. He was old with white hair and laugh lines around his eyes. Beside him sat Min Seo, a neuroscientist from Seoul National University who specialized in consciousness studies. I still think you are all crazy, Min Seo said, checking her neural scanner for the 3rd time. Invisible entities, ancient aliens. This sounds like a bad movie. Wait until you see the data, Jiwoo replied, pulling up the ancient survey logs on her tablet. Every measurement points to the same conclusion. There is something here that we cannot see. They landed at a military airbase outside Seoul. Security was tight. The Korean government had been briefed on what the team discovered, and they were taking no chances. If Earth really hosted an unknown intelligence, they wanted to know about it before anyone else did. The team set up in a laboratory that overlooked the city. Through the windows, Seoul stretched out in all directions, millions of people going about their lives. Daesung wondered how many of them had felt the entity's presence without knowing what it was. "Begin scanning," Hajun ordered. Minseo activated the equipment they had brought from the alien station. It was ancient technology, designed to detect energy patterns that human instruments missed. The screens filled with data immediately. "Oh my God," Minseo breathed. The display showed Seoul in a new way. The buildings were there, the streets, the people going about their business. But overlaid on everything were blue points of light. Thousands of them, millions of them, moving independently, clustering around people, flowing through buildings, dancing in patterns that seemed almost playful. "They are everywhere," Youngmi said. "In every street, every building, every home." Yunwoo stepped closer to the screen, his old eyes bright with excitement. "This is what our ancestors saw. This is why every culture has stories of spirits and ghosts. We have been living with them forever." Jiwoo adjusted the scanner to increase detail. Now they could see the entity's behavior more clearly. They moved around people without touching them, like fish swimming around coral. Sometimes they moved through people briefly, causing the person to shiver or look around as if sensing something. "Are they inside people?" Hajun asked, his hand moving unconsciously toward his sidearm. "No," Jiwoo said, reading the data carefully. "They move near people. Sometimes they overlap slightly for just a moment, but they do not invade or control. It looks more like they are curious, or observing," Minseo added. "These patterns suggest intelligence. They are not random. They are choosing where to go, who to be near, when to interact." Daesung watched the screen for a long time. He thought about all the times in his life when he had felt like he was being watched. All the moments when he suddenly felt comforted for no reason, or warned of danger by nothing more than a feeling. Had that been them? Had these entities been part of his life all along? "We need to communicate with them," he said finally. "How?" Hajun asked. "The ancients tried and it killed them." "The ancients did not understand what they were dealing with," Hyunwoo said. He pulled out a worn book from his bag, its pages yellow with age. "But humans have been communicating with them for thousands of years. Every shamanic tradition, every spiritual practice, every meditation technique. We developed these methods to interact with the invisible world." Minseo looked skeptical. "You want to use ancient rituals?" "We have advanced technology. Technology that almost killed the ancients," Jiwoo pointed out. "Maybe the old ways work because they evolved alongside the entities. Maybe humans learned through trial and error what works and what does not. Over the next week, they tried everything. Hyunwoo led them through traditional Korean shamanic practices. Minseo developed a neural interface that could enhance human perception without overloading the brain. Jiwoo studied the biological feedback, looking for safe ways to increase human awareness of the entities. The breakthrough came on the 8th day. Young Mai volunteered to be the first test subject. She sat in a meditation chamber, her brain connected to Minseo's neural interface. Hyunwoo guided her through a traditional ritual while the ancient scanner tracked entity movement around her. "I can feel something," Youngmi said, her eyes closed, "like static electricity on my skin, but inside my head too." "Heart rate increasing," Minseo reported, "but staying within safe limits. Neural activity rising but not dangerous yet." "Keep going," Daesung said. Youngmi took slow breaths. "They are curious. I can sense emotions, not words. They want to know what we are doing, why we are trying to reach them." On the scanner, 3 entities drifted closer to young Mi. They circled her slowly, their blue signatures pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. "Tell them we want to understand," Hyunwoo said softly. "Tell them we come in peace." Young Mi was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice held wonder. "They know. They have always known. They call themselves the Silent Ones. They have been with humans since before we have memories. They are not invaders. They are Earth's first children. What do they want?" Hajun asked, another long pause. Then Youngmi smiled. "They want what they have always wanted. To exist, to observe, to occasionally help when they can. They do not want to control us. They want to dance with us over the next hour." Young Mai had the first true conversation between humans and the Silent Ones. She learned that they evolved from Earth's electromagnetic field billions of years ago, long before organic life existed. When life began, they watched it. When animals developed consciousness, they learned to interact with it. When humans emerged, the Silent Ones found something special. Human consciousness evolved in a way that matches their natural frequency, Young Mi explained after the session ended. We can sense them because we developed alongside them. Every other species in the galaxy evolved differently. Their brains work on different frequencies. That is why contact with them is dangerous for aliens but natural for us. What about the alien expeditions they destroyed? Hajun asked. Why did they kill those crews? Young Mi's expression turned sad. Protection. Every species that came to Earth tried to remove the Silent Ones. They saw them as parasites or threats. The Silent Ones defended their home. They did not want to kill anyone, but they could not let themselves be destroyed. Jiwoo pulled up comparative data. This makes sense biologically. Humans evolved with constant electromagnetic stimulation from the Silent Ones. Our brains adapted to process it. Other species did not have that evolutionary pressure. Their brains are not designed for this kind of interaction. So we are unique, Daesung said slowly. Not because we are smarter or stronger, but because we share our world with beings that other species cannot even perceive. And now we have to decide what to do about it, Hajun said. The galaxy knows we are hiding something. They will send more expeditions eventually. What do we tell them? That question hung in the air. The team stood in the laboratory, surrounded by equipment showing the presence of billions of invisible entities. Outside, Seoul continued its daily life. Millions of people unaware that they shared their world with an ancient intelligence. We tell them the truth, Young Mi said, but carefully. The Silent Ones do not want conflict. They just want to exist in peace. Will the galaxy accept that? Minseo asked. Can they accept that Earth hosts two intelligent species? They will have to, Daesung said, because the alternative is trying to remove the Silent Ones, and we have seen what happens when anyone tries that. Hyunwoo walked to the window, looking out at the city. My grandmother used to say that the spirits watch over us, that our ancestors never truly leave. I thought it was just comfort, something we told ourselves to feel less alone. He turned back to the team, but she was right. We have never been alone. We never will be. That night, Daesung stood on the laboratory roof looking up at the stars. The ancient scanner sat beside him, showing the entities moving through the night air. He could not see them with his eyes, but knowing they were there changed everything. A cool sensation passed through him, like a breeze that came from inside rather than outside. On the scanner, an entity had drifted through his position. Was it curious about him? Did it recognize him as the human trying to understand? He thought about his grandmother too, about all the times she told him to respect the spirits, to leave offerings at shrines, to bow to empty air. She had known. All humans had known in some way. They just had not had the technology to prove it. Now they did, and soon the galaxy would know too. The return to the orbital station felt different this time. Daesung carried knowledge that could change everything. In his secured files were recordings of Young Mi's communication with the Silent Ones scans, showing billions of entities living on Earth, proof that humanity shared its world with beings older than any galactic civilization. The question was, what to do with that proof? We could lie, Hajun said during the strategy meeting. They gathered in their quarters away from listening devices. Tell them we found nothing. The entities are just electromagnetic fluctuations. They will not believe that, Young Mi countered. The ancients have data going back thousands of years. They know something is there. Then we tell them the truth and risk Earth being quarantined forever, Jiwoo said. Or worse, they might try to exterminate the Silent Ones. Daesung rubbed his tired eyes. They had been arguing for hours with no good answer. Finally, he stood. We stall. We give them partial information while we figure out the full strategy. We need more time. The council reconvened the next day. The chamber filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Daesung stood at the central podium, feeling hundreds of eyes on him. Some curious, some afraid, some hostile. Ambassador Daesung, the lead ancient, spoke. You requested access to our survey data. What did you learn? We learned that Earth is more complex than anyone understood. Daesung began carefully. The entities you detected are real. They exist, but they are not a threat to humanity. Murmuring spread through the chamber. The ancient leaned forward, its crystalline body catching the light. Not a threat to humanity. They killed every expedition we sent. Because those expeditions threatened them, Daesung replied. The entities are native to Earth. They evolved there long before humans. When alien ships arrived with weapons and scientific equipment meant to capture or destroy them, they defended themselves. Defended? A new voice interrupted. A representative from the Corvesh Empire stood, its reptilian form covered in military decorations. You call the murder of entire crews defense? I call the protection of one's home defense, Daesung said firmly. What would your people do if an unknown force arrived on your planet and tried to eliminate a native species? The Corvesh representative hissed but said nothing. Hajun stepped forward with new data. We have analyzed all the ancient expedition logs. Every ship that approached Earth peacefully and retreated when problems arose survived. Their crews were damaged but alive. Every ship that attempted hostile action disappeared completely. The pattern is clear. The entities distinguish between exploration and invasion, but they still infected our crews, the ancients said. They destroyed mines. How is that peaceful? Young Mai activated a hologram showing the neural scans from the ancient survey. They did not infect anyone. They attempted communication. Your biology could not handle it. When they realized they were causing harm, they stopped. Most of the ancient crew survived because the entities withdrew once they understood the damage they were causing. You seem to know much about these entities, another representative said suspiciously. How did you learn this? We communicated with them, Daesung said simply. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Representatives shouted in a dozen languages. The Corvesh delegation stood as a group, their hands moving to weapons. The ancients remained still, but their light flickered rapidly, a sign of deep distress. Order, the lead ancient commanded. The chamber fell quiet. You communicated with them? How? Our best scientist died trying. Because you are not human, Minseo said, stepping forward. She had insisted on coming despite being a civilian. Human consciousness evolved alongside these entities. Our brains developed in their presence. We are biologically compatible with them in a way no other known species is. She displayed the comparative neural data. Human brain patterns match the entity's electromagnetic frequencies almost perfectly. Every other species showed massive incompatibility. The difference was stark and undeniable. You are saying humans are unique? The Corvesh representative demanded. That you are somehow special? Not special, Jiwoo corrected. Lucky, or maybe unlucky depending on perspective. We evolved in a unique environment. Any species that developed on Earth would have the same compatibility. It is not about humans being superior. It is about local conditions producing local adaptations. The council debated for hours. Daesung used the time to meet privately with various delegations. He needed allies. The Vraxi representative, Vic, approached him in a corridor. There is something you should know, Vic said quietly. Many of the old species had similar beings on their planets once. They destroyed them during their industrial ages. They called it progress. Why are you telling me this? Daesung asked. Because the ancients are not afraid of your entities, Vic replied. They are afraid of remembering what they lost. My people still live with our planet's fungal intelligence. We understand coexistence, but many here do not. That night, Daesung requested a private meeting with the ancient leadership. He brought only young Mi and 2 new members of his team. Bora was a diplomat with decades of experience in difficult negotiations. Tai Yang was a historian who specialized in cross-cultural studies. They met in a small chamber, just 5 ancients and 4 humans. The lead ancient, who gave its name as Elder Kos, dimmed its light to a soft glow. Speak freely, Kos said. No recording. No witnesses. Tell us what you truly discovered. Daesung took a breath and told them everything. The Silent One's history. Their nature as Earth's original intelligence. Their attempts to communicate. Their defense of their home. And most importantly, what young Mi learned during deep communication. They remember you, young Mi said softly. The Silent Ones. They remember when your people came to Earth 47,000 years ago. They remember trying to reach out, trying to share knowledge. They remember the pain they caused you accidentally and the grief they felt when your crew members died. Kos's light flickered. They felt grief? They feel everything, young Mi continued. They experience emotion differently than physical beings, but they feel. They mourned the deaths they caused. That is why they withdrew so quickly. They did not want to hurt anyone. Silence filled the chamber. Finally, Kos spoke in a voice that seemed older than stars. Do you know why we are truly afraid of your entities, Ambassador? Tell me, Daesung said. Because we had our own once, Kos replied. 12 million years ago, when my people were young, our planet had beings like yours. They existed in our atmosphere, in our oceans, in the spaces between spaces. They were part of our world. What happened to them? Taeyang asked. We destroyed them, Kos said simply. We did not understand them. They frightened us. They made us feel like we were not alone in our own heads. So when we developed technology powerful enough, we eliminated them. We cleansed our world of their presence, and then? Bora asked softly. Then we were alone, Kos replied. Truly alone. We advanced rapidly after that. We built ships and computers and weapons. We conquered space. We became the galaxy's oldest civilization. The ancients' light dimmed further, but we lost something. We lost the ability to dream, to create art that means something, to feel connection to anything beyond ourselves. We gained the stars but lost our souls. Young Mi's eyes widened. That is why you cannot communicate with the Silent Ones, not because of biology, because you killed your own version of them. You made yourselves incompatible. Yes, Kos said. And when we encountered Earth, we saw what we had destroyed. We saw a species that still lived in harmony with beings we could no longer even perceive. It terrified us. Not because you are dangerous, but because you have what we threw away. The implications settled over the room like weight. Daesung finally understood the real reason for Earth's quarantine. It was not protection, it was shame. That is why we must propose something different, Daesung said. Not quarantine, not contact, something new. Earth becomes a bridge. We help other species safely experience what you lost. The Silent Ones are willing to try, if approached with respect and understanding. You want to turn Earth into a spiritual center for the galaxy? Kos asked. I want to turn Earth into a school, Daesung corrected. A place where species can learn what happens when you live alongside intelligence you cannot fully understand. Some will reject it. Others might benefit from it. But everyone deserves the choice. Kos considered this for a long time. Finally, the ancient stood. I will support your proposal. But know this, Ambassador. Not everyone will agree. Some species believe the only good invisible intelligence is a dead one. They will come for your Silent Ones with weapons and fire. Then we will protect them, Daesung said firmly. Even if it means war? Kos asked. Daesung thought of the billions of Silent Ones living on Earth. Beings that had existed for eons, that had guided humanity's development without asking for worship or control. Beings that felt grief when they accidentally hurt others. Beings that defended their home because they had nowhere else to go. Even then, he said. The vote was scheduled for 3 days later. Daesung used every moment to build support. Some species listened. Others refused to even meet with him. The galaxy was dividing itself over a question humanity had answered thousands of years ago. Could you coexist with beings you could not fully understand? On the second day, Hajun burst into the conference room where Daesung was meeting with the Vraxi delegation. We have a problem, the military officer said, his face pale. A big one. In the secure communication room, Hajun played the intercepted message. It was encrypted, but Earth's intelligence service had cracked it. The message came from a coalition of 7 species, led by the Korvash Empire. The content made Daesung's blood run cold. They are calling it Operation Cleansing, Hajun said. 300 ships. Their target is Earth. They plan to evacuate the human population by force, then sterilize the planet with radiation. They want to kill every Silent One. When? Daesung demanded. They launched 4 hours ago. They will arrive at Earth in 48 hours. Young Mai stood frozen. 300 ships? Earth's defense fleet has maybe 20 vessels. We cannot fight that. We do not have to fight, Minseo said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. The neuroscientist had been quiet throughout the meetings, but now her eyes blazed. We do not need to win a war. We need to change minds, and I think the Silent Ones can help. 2 hours later, the human delegation was in emergency session with the ancients. Elder Kos listened to their plan with increasing concern. You want to allow the hostile fleet to land? Kos asked. That is incredibly dangerous. It is also our only chance, Daesung replied. They are coming to destroy something they do not understand. We need to make them understand before they fire a single shot. And if they refuse? If they attack anyway? Kos asked. Then the Silent Ones will defend themselves, Young Mi said quietly. But we want to avoid that. Every life lost is a tragedy. Admiral Jae Hyun, commander of Earth's defense fleet, stood beside Daesung. The military man had been skeptical of the whole invisible entity situation, but he understood strategy. We have positioned our ships to intercept them at the edge of the solar system. We cannot stop them, but we can delay them. Buy time for your plan. No, Daesung said. Let them come. No resistance. No weapons. We meet them on the ground with open hands. Jae-hyun looked like he wanted to argue, but he nodded. Your call, Ambassador. But I am keeping my fleet ready. If this goes wrong, we will need to evacuate as many people as we can. The next 40 hours were chaos. Earth's governments were informed. Panic threatened to spread, but leaders urged calm. The human delegation returned to Earth and prepared. They chose the same location where the ancients had landed 47,000 years ago. The plains outside Seoul. It is symbolic, Hyunwoo explained. Where the first attempt at contact went wrong. Maybe we can make it go right this time. They set up a simple meeting ground. No weapons. No military presence except for Admiral Jae-hyun and a small honor guard. Just Daesung, Youngmi, Hajun, Jiwoo, Minseo, Hyunwoo, and a dozen volunteers who wanted to help. Behind them, thousands of civilians gathered to watch from a safe distance. News crews from every nation pointed cameras at the sky. The hostile fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 300 ships materialized in Earth's orbit, their weapons charging. Admiral Jae-hyun's fleet held position, weapons powered down, a sign of non-aggression. A shuttle descended from the largest warship. It landed 100 meters from the human delegation. The door opened and the fleet commander emerged. It was a Corvesh warrior, massive and covered in scales that looked like armor. Behind it came soldiers from multiple species, all armed, all ready for violence. I am Commander Varketh of the Cleansing Fleet, the Corvesh announced. We are here to remove the contamination from this world. You will evacuate your people. We will do the rest. No, Daesung said simply. Varketh's eyes narrowed. You cannot stop us. Stand aside or be removed. I am not trying to stop you, Daesung replied. I am trying to save you. From making the same mistake countless others have made. Come, meet the Silent Ones properly. Not with weapons and fear, but with openness and respect. We do not negotiate with parasites, Varketh said. They are not parasites, Youngmi stepped forward. They are Earth's first children, and they are willing to show you the truth. If you are brave enough to see it. Something in her words made Varketh hesitate. Perhaps it was curiosity. Perhaps it was pride. But the commander nodded. Very well, show me. But if this is a trick, we will burn this planet to ash. Minseo activated the neural interface equipment. It had been modified based on what they learned from communicating with the Silent Ones. This version was safer, designed to allow alien species to perceive the entities without the neural damage that killed the ancient survey crews. The Silent Ones have agreed to make themselves visible, Minseo explained. Not just to humans, but to all of you. It will not hurt, but it will be strange. Do you consent? Varketh looked at his soldiers. Several of them nodded. The commander turned back to Minseo. Do it. Youngmi had been in deep communication with the Silent Ones for the past hour. Now she nodded. The entities had agreed to reveal themselves, not as threats, but as teachers. The air changed. It was subtle at first, like heat shimmer on a summer day. Then the shimmer took form. Blue light appeared. Thousands of points at first, then millions. The soldiers raised their weapons, but Varketh held up a hand. Wait, the commander said. The Silent Ones manifested more fully. They were not solid. They flickered between existence and non-existence, like waves of probability made visible. They moved through the air in patterns that seemed almost like a dance. Beautiful and strange and utterly alien. But they did more than just appear. Using the neural interface as a bridge, they began to communicate. Not with words, but with experience. The hostile fleet members suddenly found themselves experiencing memories. Not their own memories, but Earth's memories. They saw Earth 4 billion years ago, when the Silent Ones first emerged from the planet's electromagnetic field. They watched as organic life began, as the entities learned to interact with primitive nervous systems. They experienced the first time a Silent One touched a human mind and found understanding instead of fear. They felt thousands of years of human history, not as facts but as lived experience. A Stone Age mother singing to her child, feeling comfort from an invisible presence that protected her family at night. A medieval farmer praying for rain, his hope amplified by entities that could not control weather, but could make him feel less alone in his fear. A modern scientist staring at the stars, inspired by dreams that came from beings that had no dreams of their own. The Silent Ones showed them what the ancients had lost: connection, wonder, the feeling that the universe was more than just matter and energy. They showed them what it meant to coexist with intelligence that existed beyond understanding, but they also showed them pain. The Silent Ones shared memories of the alien ships that came with weapons, the fear they felt when expeditions tried to capture them or destroy them, the grief when they accidentally killed beings who only wanted to study them, the loneliness of existing on a quarantined world, cut off from the wider galaxy because everyone feared them. Varketh dropped to one knee. Tears ran down the commander's scaled face. Around him, soldiers lowered their weapons. Some of them were crying. Others looked stunned. All of them had experienced something they could not put into words. They are alive, Varketh whispered. They feel. They grieve. They love. Yes, Daesung said softly. They are as alive as you or I. They are just different. The Corvesh commander stood slowly. He looked at his fleet in orbit, weapons still charged and ready. Then he looked at the millions of Silent Ones now visible in the air around them, dancing and waiting. I came here to destroy, Varketh said, because I thought they were threats, parasites that had infected a primitive species. He turned to Daesung. But they are not threats. They are teachers. And I have been a fool. Not a fool, Young Mi said. Just afraid. Everyone is afraid of what they do not understand. Varketh activated his communication device. All ships stand down. Cancel operation cleansing. We are not sterilizing this planet. He looked at Daesung. We will return to the council, and I will tell them what I saw here. The fleet departed 3 hours later. Daesung watched them go, feeling relief and exhaustion in equal measure. The crisis had passed. Earth was safe, but the real work was just beginning. 5 years later, Earth had changed completely. The quarantine zone became the contact zone. The orbital station around Earth grew massive, hosting thousands of visitors from across the galaxy. Species came to experience the Silent Ones, to learn from them, to understand what their own civilizations had lost or never had. Young Mi ran the cultural exchange program, teaching aliens how to safely perceive and communicate with the entities. Hajun commanded security, making sure no one tried to capture or harm the Silent Ones. Jiwoo studied the biology of consciousness, helping species understand why they reacted differently to the entities. Min Esio developed better interface technology. Hyunwoo documented thousands of first contact experiences, building a library of knowledge. Daesung stood on a hill overlooking Seoul, watching another sunset.